So we have our next lecture, that is lecture number 3 for region of convergence of Laplace transform. So in the earlier lecture we have discussed some basic examples of the Laplace transform, that is e to the power minus at ut Laplace transform, which comes out to be 1 upon s plus a, and there we have defined the region of convergence by taking the denominator is equivalent to 0 and taking the poles and drawing that poles on the j omega and sigma axis, and then we will find out if the signal is a right sided signal, the denominator will becomes greater than equal 0. If the signal is left hand signal, then the denominator becomes less than 0, and by that way we can easily find out the region of convergence as the real of s greater than minus a or less than minus a for the case of exponential signals. So in this lecture we are going to see the region of convergence for the left half and the right half plane from the starting. So initially we have the left half plane. So obviously as an example of the left half plane we are taking here, that is the first case for a less than 0 and the second case for a greater than 0. Obviously we define here for the left half plane, that is real of s less than a. Whatever the value of a, it will it will give you the things that the region of convergence is in the left half plane. So real of s less than a, the first case, that is a less than 0, and the second case, that is for a greater than 0. So similarly for some real constant a, it is said to be right half plane if real of s is greater than a. In this case also a less than 0, for first case is for a less than 0 and the second case is for a greater than 0. So if the signal is right handed signal, and in that case we have this kind of equation for region of convergence, that is real of s greater than a. So now what is the ROC? So basically the ROC of the Laplace transform, or we can say what are the properties of ROC? The ROC of the Laplace transform, x consists of strips which are parallel to the imaginary axis in the complex plane. So that is, if s is in the ROC, then s plus j omega is in the ROC for all real omega. So in the first figure we have equation or the diagram for valid ROC, that is real of s greater than or something in between, that is the strips in between, there will be some ROC. The second one is also the valid ROC, that we have a real of s greater than a, you can say, if it is a. Suppose this is a. So this is real of s greater than a. Suppose this is b and this is a. So this is real of s greater than b and less than a. So this is the valid kind of ROC. Similarly, this is the valid kind of ROC, but we cannot have this kind of diagram for ROC, that is the strips are parallel to the x axis or the real part or the sigma axis. So this is sigma, this is j omega, this is sigma, this is j omega, this is again sigma and this is j omega. So here we, from the diagrams we want to tell you that how the ROC is defined, that there will be a strips which are parallel to only j omega axis, not to the sigma axis. So what are the properties? So second property, if the Laplace transform x is a rational function, if suppose x is a rational function, both the numerator and the denominator contains only integer values, in that case the ROC does not contain any pole. So in that case there will be no pole, the ROC is bounded by poles or extends to infinity. Since x is a rational, its value becomes infinite at a pole. So obviously x does not converge at a pole, therefore it follows that ROC cannot contain any pole. Obviously, or you can say it contains entire S domain. So it does not have any pole contains. So the first figure shows the valid ROC, that is we have some poles on the j omega axis, some poles on the real axis. Second one is also the valid ROC, which is some poles on the j omega axis, that is repeated roots on the j omega axis. The third one is the invalid ROC, because we are drawing the poles at the j omega axis, but there is no pole at the right side of the in the j omega in the x axis, and that's why the line is not defined or the pole is not defined. So here the pole is not defined. Pole is not defined. So this is not a valid ROC. The third property is, if a function x is finite duration and its Laplace transform x converges for some value of s, then x also converges for all values of s, that is the ROC is the entire complex plane. So for example, if you find out the for Laplace transform of the impulse function del t. So we have minus infinity to infinity x of s. Suppose this xt is your del t. So del t e to the power minus st dt, and we know the property for del function, that is minus infinity to infinity del t dt, that is equivalent to 1. So in this case we put at t is equivalent to 0. So in this case we put e to the power st at e to the power minus st at t is equivalent to 0, which gives you 1. So Laplace transform of del function or impulse function is 1 here. So it doesn't have any pole. Obviously, it doesn't have any pole, it doesn't have numerator, denominator part, and it contains the entire S plane. So for this, ROC is entire S plane. So next property, if a function x is right sided and the vertical line real of S is equivalent to sigma is in the ROC of the Laplace transform of x, then all values of s for which real of s is greater than sigma naught must also be in the ROC. That is, the ROC includes a right half plane containing real of s is equivalent to sigma naught. Moreover, if x is right sided but not left sided, the ROC of x is a right half plane. So we have already discussed this, that if the signal is right sided signal, the ROC is the right half plane. If the signal is left sided signal, the ROC is the left sided plane. Here the valid ROC is the first one, as we have a pole at the left side and the ROC at the right side plane or right half plane. So here we have right half plane. Similarly, if the pole is at the right side, then obviously the ROC will be the left half plane. So because we are taking here the right sided signal, this ROC is not valid. Similarly, the ROC between the two strips is also not valid because we have only one pole at the left side and the last one have one pole at the left side and the second pole at the right side. So we have a one right sided signal and the other one is the left sided signal, but we are taking here case which is of course a right sided signal function. So this third ROC is also not valid. So in case of these three ROC, only the first ROC is valid, which is of the right half plane. Fifth property, that is, if a function x is left sided and the vertical line real of s is equivalent to sigma naught is in the ROC of the Laplace transform x of x, then all values of s for which real of s is less than sigma naught must also be in the ROC. That is, the ROC includes a left half plane containing real of s is equivalent to sigma naught. Moreover, if x is left sided but not right sided, the ROC of x is a left half plane. So in this figure we have the first ROC which is of left half plane because the pole exists at the right side and the ROC is the left half plane. Similarly, the second figure is in the form of these strips and the ROC is in between the two strips, which is not valid because it's a left sided signal, and the second ROC contains both the left and right sided signal. The third ROC contains a right sided signal because the pole exists at the left side. Obviously this ROC is also not valid. So only the first ROC is valid. For the case of the left half plane, we must have the poles at the right side. For the case of right side plane, we must have the poles at the left side. Sixth property, if a function x is two sided and the vertical line real of s is equivalent to sigma naught is in the ROC of the Laplace transform, that is x of x, then the ROC will consist of a strip in the complex plane that includes real of s is equivalent to sigma naught. So obviously the first ROC which is defined here for two poles, that is one pole is at the left and the one pole is at the right, the two sided signal. So one is for the left side pole we have a right half plane, and for the right side pole we have a left half plane. So it consists of both the left half plane and the right half plane. So this ROC is valid for both sided signal, or you can say for two sided signal. The second ROC is obviously a one sided signal, that is the right half plane, and the third ROC is also invalid because it's the entire S plane. So this is entire S plane, which is also not valid for a two sided signal. And this is basically right half plane. So for two-sided signal, this is also not valid. Next, if the Laplace transform x of a function x is rational, then if x is a right-sided, the ROC of x is to the right of the rightmost pole. If the x is left-sided, the ROC of x is to the left of the leftmost pole. So from the figure we can see here, if the poles are existing here at j omega axis and also at the real of x, but it's a kind of a left-sided signal, so the valid ROC is from left of the leftmost pole. Similarly, we have obviously the second figure is invalid figure because we are taking here the ROCs, that is the line parallel to the j omega axis because of these two poles, and also there is a line because of this pole, this particular pole, because this is a signal which is a left-sided signal. So the common ROC is from the left of the leftmost pole, not the entire region consisting of all the poles. So that's why the first ROC is valid, the second ROC is not valid. The third ROC is valid because we are taking here the right of the rightmost pole, and we have three poles existing here, that is at the j omega axis 2 poles and at the sigma axis 1 pole, and right of the rightmost pole obviously this pole. So this ROC is valid. Similarly, the fourth ROC is not valid because it consists of all the three poles, and obviously this is not valid case. We take for right-sided signal the right of the rightmost pole, and for the left-sided signal for the left of the leftmost pole. We will see here that is, suppose xs comes out to be 1 upon s plus 2 or s plus 3. So we see here the number of poles existing at the sigma axis, that is, suppose one pole is exist at -3 and another pole is existing at -2. We have this one. So we have one this line, one this line. So if both the signals are right-sided, to right of the rightmost pole, this one region. If both the signal are left-sided, left of the leftmost pole, this region. Not both the things are combined or both the poles exist together. Similarly, for greater than -3 and less than -2, if it works, then there will be a ROC in between the two strips. So example 1, the Laplace transform x of the function x has the algebraic expression. Identify all the possible ROCs of x. For each ROC, indicate whether the corresponding function x is left-sided but not right-sided, right-sided but not left-sided, two-sided or finite duration. Identify all the possible ROCs of x. For each ROC, indicate whether the corresponding function is left-sided but not right-sided and two-sided or finite duration. So here the expression we have given, that is x is equivalent to 1 up s plus 1 upon 2 upon divided by s square plus 2s plus 2 multiplied by s square plus s minus 2. So the solution, we can find out the possible ROCs associated with x are determined by the poles of this function. We must find the poles of x. Factoring the denominator of x, we can find out s plus 1 minus j, s plus 1 plus j. Similarly, x plus 2, s minus 1, because we have an expression like this. So the first denominator, first term will have complex repeated roots. The second term have different roots, that is s plus 2, and these are real roots, that is s plus 2 and s minus 1. So we have one pole at s is equivalent to -1 plus j, next pole at s is equivalent to -1 minus j, next pole at s is equivalent to -2, and next pole at s is equivalent to +1. So we have the poles -2, -1 minus j, -1 plus j and 1. Since these poles only have three distinct real parts, that is -2, -1 and 1. There are four possible ROCs, that is real of s less than -2, because if we draw this is sigma, this is j omega, suppose this is -1, -1 plus j, suppose this point, -1 minus j, suppose this point. So this particular, and then at -2 there is a pole and at 1 there is a pole. So we have three distinct poles at in the real axis, that is at 1, at -1 and at -2. So we have what are the possible ROCs? Left of the leftmost pole, that is real of s less than -2. Real of s lies between -2 and -1, two strips which contains both. Okay. Then real of s greater than -1 less than 1. There, this is the possible ROC, and The third ROC is right of the rightmost pole, which is this one, this part. So this part is ROC, this part we have ROC, so this is ROC1, in between ROC2, in between -1 and 1 ROC3, and greater than 1 ROC4. So we have this kind of ROCs, possible ROCs for the given question. So you can draw like this, that is real of S, the poles at -2, -1, -j, -1 plus j and 1. See, these poles have three distinct real parts, -2, -1 and 1. There are four possible ROCs which we have discussed in the last slide. So we have at -3, -2, greater than left of the leftmost poles means real of S less than -2, real of S greater than -1 less than 1, real of S greater than -2 and less than, greater than -2, greater than -2 and less than -1, and real of S lies between -1 to 1 we have, and real of S greater than greater than 1 also. So these are four diagrams which depicting, first one is depicting real of S less than -2. Second one we have real of S greater than -2 and less than -1. Third one we have real of S is greater than -1 and less than 1. And fourth one we have real of S is greater than 1. So these are possible ROCs and diagrams which you can see here, that with the help of poles only we can find out what are the ROCs, possible ROCs for the given Laplace transform. So what are the properties of the Laplace transform? There are different properties of the Laplace transform which is tabulated here. So the first property is the linearity property. The linearity property says that if we have, it has both the superposition and homogeneity property. So if we have x1t, we have a Laplace transform of x1t, that is x1s, x2t, we have a Laplace transform, that is x2s. So if we take one arbitrary constant, that is a1 x1t plus a2 x2t, we have a Laplace transform that is a1 x1s plus a2 x2s. So this is called as linearity property. The second property is time domain shifting, that is xt minus t naught. If we shift in the time domain, we have to multiply with the exponential term in that frequency domain. So it will have e to the power minus s t naught xs. Laplace domain shifting, or you can say frequency shifting, that is, this is also called as frequency shifting, that is e to the power s naught. We have to multiply exponential term in the time domain, and we have a difference in the, or the shifted frequency in the frequency domain. So e to the power s naught t xt, which becomes here xs minus s naught. Then time scaling property we have, that is x of at, that is 1 upon mod of a, x of s by a. Similarly, conjugation property, x conjugate t, and the Laplace transform is x conjugate s conjugate. Then we have time domain convolution, x1t convolution x2t, this is x1t convolution x2t, which becomes multiplication in the frequency domain. So convolution in one domain or in time domain becomes multiplication in frequency domain, which is x1s multiplied by x2s. Then time differentiation property, d of dt of xt, that is x of xs. Then frequency domain differentiation, this is frequency domain or differentiation in frequency domain. Frequency domain differentiation, for this we have to multiply with t or minus t of xt, that is d by ds of xs. Then time domain integration from minus infinity to t x tau d tau, that is 1 upon s xs. So in this case we use these kind of properties, these all properties for solving numerical problems of the Laplace transform, and these properties helps very much because it saves your time, because somehow we know the basic signals Laplace transform, then we can easily find out by using these property the complex problems of the Laplace transform. So these are the references of the Laplace transform. So we can use these references, these books for reading more and more about the Laplace transform. These properties or the basics properties questions we can discuss in the next lecture, lecture number 4 of the Laplace transform. In that lecture we will discuss how these property we can use further to simplify all the problems of the Laplace transform. So thank you so much.